Topic 3, review. For this review, I broke it down to the main categories that are going to be on this test and then wrote down a couple things with it. In red, you'll see the lessons that apply to that category, and then in black in parentheses, you'll see how many questions on the test there will be for each section. So let's start over here with properties. You can see there'll be 3 questions on properties, and they're lessons 3.1 and 3.5. The first property we've talked about this year was the commutative property, and here's what it looks like. If I have 7 times 8 times 10, it doesn't matter the order that I multiply them together, it'll still equal the same thing. So 7 times 8 times 10 would equal 8 times 10 times 7. The key word I use for this is switching. You're just switching around the order of the factors. The next one is going to be the associative property. For this one, I say you're changing the grouping. So let's look at it. We have 3 times 4 times 5. You know, that's easy. 3 times 4 is 12, and I know 12 times 5 is 60, but I don't know if all of us know that 12 times 5 is 60. Look at this easier way. If I do this, 4 times 5 is 20. I bet most of you know that 20 times 3 is 60. So we would use this to change the grouping of the factors. The next property is the zero property. I think you guys got this one down. Anything, no matter what the number is, if you multiply it by 0, your answer will be 0. And the identity property. The identity property says anything times itself. Anything times 1 is itself. Ooh, that's a big difference. Anything times 1 is itself. So 214 times 1 equals 214. And here's the one that gets us a little bit more confused, the distributive property. Really what it does is it allows you to multiply a number by the tens digit and again by the ones digit. And then you just add the products. So let's look at what that looks like. If I have 3 times 42, I can multiply by the tens, and this isn't a 4, this is 4 tens. 4 tens we know is 40, so I can do 3 times 40 plus 3 times 2. Another way that we're going to see that is going to be if we have 3 and then in parentheses 2y plus 4, we have to multiply this 3 times the 2y, which gives us 6y, but we also have to multiply it by the 4. You have to multiply it by everything inside the parentheses. So that will give us an answer of 6y plus 12. Let's go to the next section. We're talking about mental math and estimation. 3.2 and 3.3, and there will be 3 questions on the test. First, to do mental math, all we have to do is multiply the leading digits and then add that many zeros. So I have 30 times 40. Well, I know my math facts that 3 times 4 is 12. So I do 3 times 4, I put 12, and I add this 0 down here, this 0 right there, and I get my answer of 1,200. I just multiply the numbers in front, and then add the zeros, and I'm good. When I'm estimating, I'm going to round one or both of the numbers to make it easier to multiply. So if I have like 33 times 9, do I have to round them both? No. If I round this 9 to 10, I can do 33 times 10 in my head because I just do 33 times 1 and get 33, and then I add my 0. If I have 19 times 48, then I'm probably going to have to round them both and do 19 to 20 and 48 to 50. And then 2 times 5 is 10. I add an extra 0 for there and an extra 0 for there, and I get an answer of 1,000. Now here's the important part. It's not just rounding or estimating. We have to know whether we round it as an overestimate or an underestimate. So let's look at that. If I round my numbers up, so from 9 to 10, or 19 to 20 and 48 to 50, I rounded those all up, I made them bigger, then that's going to be an overestimate. The actual answer is going to be smaller. So my estimate is too big. If I round my numbers down, that's considered an underestimate. So the estimate is going to be smaller than what the actual answer is. Let's go to the next section. exponents. This is only from section 3.4, and there will be 2 questions in the test about it. The key thing to remember is that when you're doing this, you take the base and you multiply it by itself as many times as the exponent says. So if I have 4 as my base and my exponent is 2, I'm going to take 4 times 4 because I multiplied my base 2 times. So 4 times 4. Remember, when you see 4 to the second power, another way we say that is 4 squared. Let's look at the next one. I have 4 with a 3 as my exponent. So then I have 4 times 4 times 4. I have my base of 4, and I multiply it 3 times. 4 times 4 times 4. When we have to the third power, we call that cubed. You will need to know the term squared and cubed. Once again, squared is to the second power, cubed is to the third power. Here's another, this is how we write it. This is going to be important also. We have 3 different ways we write it: exponential notation, expanded form, and standard form. Exponential notation is just the base with the exponent. Expanded form is when we write it as a series of multiplication problems. And standard form is just the number. So for 3 to the 4th power, that's exponential notation. If we had this and instead write it in expanded form, we'd write 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. If we had that and instead write it in standard form, we'd have to figure it out. Well, 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, times 3 is 81. So I get my standard form answer of 81. Next, let's look at multiplication with 1, 2, or more digit factors. Now this covers 3.6, 3.7, and 3.8. And look right here. 7 of the questions on the test are going to require you to be able to multiply, either with 1 digit, 2 digits, or 3 digits. So let's look at 2 different ways that are kind of the same. Okay, wow, that looks like a mess. But if you look at it in the steps, I color-coded it to make it a little bit easier. So in our steps, the first color is green. So let's look at the green arrow and where it goes. That is the ones position times the ones position. So 4 times 5 is 20. So I wrote my answer in green also with 0, and I carry the 2 up here. And then I go to black. Well, black arrow goes from here to here. So that's the ones times the tens. So 4 times 7 is 28. And then add these 2, 29, 30. So I write down my answer of 30. And now I'm done with this one. So I need to move on to this decimal. Or I'm sorry, this digit. But when I'm in here, remember, I need my placeholder. I'm now in the tens position. I don't want to work in the ones anymore. So I need to add a 0 down here. So I start out by putting my placeholder or my 0 to remind myself that I'm working now in the tens. I go tens times ones, that's orange. So 2 times 5 is 10. So I put a 0 down here. I carry a 1 up there. And then I go to blue, tens times tens. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 is 15. So I write a 15 down here. And then I just simply add. 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 0 is 0. 3 plus 5 is 8. And then 1 plus nothing is 1. Notice in here, I kept all my ones in this column. All my 2s are in here. I'm sorry, 10s are in here. Hundreds are here. Thousands are there. And nothing moves over into a different place value. It's really a lot easier if you keep everything lined up. Now the second way is the same thing, but you just do it a little bit differently. So you take the ones times the ones, so 9 times 8, and you actually figure that out as 72 and you write it over there. Then you take the ones times the tens, and you figure that out. So 9 times 8 is 72, and this isn't just a 1. It's in the tens position, so it's a 10. So 9 times 10 gives me 90. Then I move to this, and this is not just a 2. What is this? Right, it's a 20. So I take 20, and I follow this purple line to here, and do 20 times 8, which is 160. And then I take this 20, and I multiply it by this. Now this isn't just a 1. What is it again? Right, a 10. So 20 times 10 is 200. And then I add them up. And notice, even when I did this, I left everything in the same column. All my 1s, tens, and hundreds, and I got an answer of 522. The last section is problem solving. It's going to be from lesson 3.9, and there are 2 problems that are going to like this. What you need to do is follow these steps. The first thing, what do you know? List all of the facts that you're going to find in this chapter or in this question. Just list them out. Step 2, look for all of the questions or all of the things it's asking you to do and write down those to make sure that you answer them all. This step 2 is a very important step. Step 3 is, how do I solve it? So for this step, what you can do is figure out the operations that you're going to need to do to solve that problem. And then the last step is, what is the answer? So that's where if it tells you to do multiplication, you go ahead and you do your multiplication and find out what the actual answer is. And here is our lesson. Here is the entire topic 3 at one glance. Pretty neat looking. And I think you guys are going to be great. Remember, our test is on Tuesday. And don't forget, good luck, guys.